Right, guys, Jamie Jewett here with Outbox Entertainment, speaking to Alexander. Is it Krassyuk or Krassyuk? How do I say
Correct.
it?
Krassyuk, yes, correct.
Krassyuk. Alexander, it's been, a frustrating few weeks for the boxing fans, a frustrating few weeks, months for yourself, I can imagine. Just for our slot now, is this fight going ahead?
Not really.
No.
It's off. No, it's off. It's 100% off for April 29th.
Yes.
It might go ahead some day in the future, but for now, it's definitely cancelled.
So I understand there's been discrepancies, disagreements, should I say, with contracts. I know you can't talk too much about the exact details with the contracts. But what is in the public domain is Tyson Fury's request for 70-30 split, which obviously Alexander's come back and said he would accept. Can you tell us a little bit more about how we've got to this point from there? What can you tell us?
Well, we started the negotiations at the point that we have two champions. It's a unification fight. It's an undisputed fight. Let's not measure how many belts each one has. It should be 50-50 split, easy to make. Just we go and we have the fight. Then we started to have some kind of obstacles because Tyson didn't look really willing to take the fight. I can't get into his head and confirm that he's has some certain reasons for that, but just being for a while in boxing, I can anticipate that this man didn't really want this fight, so he tried to avoid it as much as he could. So first of all, they put they took some, I don't know, so long to negotiate with people in Saudi, and finally they have to pull out. So we didn't have the fight in February and March. Then we had the confirmed date for the end of April, and while we were discussing the issues with all of the parties, George and I, we agreed that they're gonna book the Wembley Stadium for April 29th, just in case, as the backup, for in case anything goes wrong. And it did go wrong, so we had this date, but after Saudis pulled out, we had to renegotiate again, and suddenly it appeared that 50-50 doesn't work anymore. So we had to find the solution. Tyson was not accepting anything, and that's according to the reports from Frank and from George Warren. So we were Usyk was training since December. He was in a training camp. He was working hard and waiting for some certainty in the fight. At some point, we came to the conclusion that the fight is really impossible to make, because we really saw it as a 50-50 fight, and Tyson didn't want to just even discuss. So we asked couple times, couple more. We asked probably 4 or 5 times to deliver what are real demands of Tyson Fury, what he wants. Maybe we can negotiate, maybe we can, we are flexible people, we want this fight to happen, so it's not about money. We can sort things out, to find the solution. But he never showed up with anything. So the first time we heard his real wants was when, couple hours before the deadline of WBA, he appeared on Instagram and said that Usyk, you and your team worth 30%. It was a bluff. Everyone knows it was a bluff. But it was a good point, because Usyk wanted that fight so much. So he called the bluff, said, okay, come on, no problem, I accept it. I'm not satisfied with the split, definitely not. The money that I'm gonna make in this fight is not even near the money that I made in the previous fight, but it doesn't bother me at all. Let's get it done. We went through all the discussions. Usyk was aware of everything. He knew that the rematch was on, and Tyson's side actually initiated it. So for us, it was very simple. We all knew that the fight is not really probable to happen from the very beginning. And you know why? Usyk was reading his book, and in his book he says that everything that happened to Klitschko, to Wilder, to other his opponents is his game. So the game that he's playing is like this. So Usyk didn't really trust that the fight's gonna take place, but you always have some kind of hope that you can still work it out. So okay, we went ahead. We tried to settle all the smaller details, but you know, devil always hidden in the details, and when it comes closer, you suddenly realize that the split is not just the deal maker, and the rest of things are the deal breakers. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, let's say at this point, I can't go deeper in the details because it wouldn't look good. Frank mentioned the split on the rematch that we wanted, that we actually anticipated, which Tyson did not agree for. But that was not the essence. I mean, that was just the point where it all blew up. So, like when you go through a contract and you see the language that was sent probably to number 14 contender of WBC, who is so lucky to get this chance, the title shot, and but this is wrong. You are dealing with a unified champion who gained his belts and then confirmed it in the second fight. You're dealing with a former cruiserweight champion. This is not the way to make things. And at the final point, Usyk said, "Listen, I am with no let's say he wasn't arrogant. He was just saying, I am the cruiserweight, undisputed cruiserweight in the past. This is true. I am the unified heavyweight at this moment, and this is also true. I have bowed my hand once, except in 70-30, which is not okay for me. I mean, it's not okay. Everyone can understand it's not okay for me. But I did that because I want this fight to have. I want fans to watch this fight. I want to be the part of the big fight. But now, how many more times I have to bow my head in front of this guy? He doesn't want to fight, and even if we accept everything that he wants." At this point, my personal anticipation, I still consider that he would escape. He would escape closer to the fight. And to confirm my words, yesterday we all saw the interview of Sugar Hill, his trainer, who we saw on some of the pictures Tyson posted on Instagram, some videos. But he confirmed that he was in the facility in Manchester where he was training a caller for the upcoming fight, and he didn't do any workouts with Tyson regarding Usyk. So it's just the confirmation. It was just a show, Instagram show, live show from Tyson that he's like pretending, training, working hard. But come on, it was just 5 weeks before the fight. How can you come to the normal condition if you're fighting? Okay, he's not that tall, but come on, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali, they all were the same size as Alexander Usyk. What's the problem? You have to be really fit. You have to be in a proper shape to fight that man because he's so skilled. He's the Olympic champion. He went through hell in boxing. Come on, you have to get prepared. But 5 weeks is not sufficient. Even if you are a super mega star in boxing and you have all those feelings, you have all those skills, footwork, the conditioning. I mean, your stamina is something that does matter in 12 rounds. If you're okay to box 3 rounds, good. But you have to go through 12 rounds with a guy who keeps the pace on the top level. This is impossible. That's why I still think we took the proper decision.
Mm. I mean, just to pick up on one thing you said there, when you referenced you guys were getting paid less than your previous fight, were you referencing the Joshua Usyk fights?
Yes.
So I think Tyson's big argument here, obviously, of him being the bigger draw, and demanding more money and all of this, and you guys being, you know, kind of, you should be thankful for fighting him and all this sort of stuff, and you're getting a huge payday. The reality being you're not even getting paid as much as you got paid for back then. Would you agree? I think when, you know, Tyson may be a big draw in the UK, but when you've got an undisputed fight, there's only one undisputed fight out there because those guys have all the belts. Therefore, the people that are paying that pay-per-view price that night are there to watch someone become undisputed. They're not just there to watch Tyson Fury. They're not just there to watch Alexander Usyk. They're there to watch one of the groundbreaking moments in the past decades that hasn't happened in so long. So I kind of, would you agree that that argument is a little bit unfounded here, saying that one of you is the bigger draw? It's kind of a little bit void in my eyes. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree with you because Tyson's argument was that he's selling Tottenham on December the 3rd, open air stadium in his fight with Chisora. I agree, but come on, this is not the case. How many pay-per-views did you sell in this fight?
Wasn't that large?
Did anyone disclose the figure? No. Why? If he would have sold 1 million, it will be on public first day. But if it's like how to say politely, not that big, then of course it's hidden, it's concealed. If you go through Tyson's last 3 fights, what are the figures of his pay-per-view? Pay-per-view is something that generates the profit. This is the principal thing. Is it that big? No, it's not. Well, it's considerable because he is a massive star. But if you compare it even with AJ's fight, not that big. If you go through Usyk's last 3 fights and the amount of views he received, the figure is much bigger. Okay, he fought AJ twice. True. But it was Usyk, who fought AJ twice. And the figures, once or the first fight wouldn't perform good, would the second perform good? Probably not. But they both were really successful. And the second fight was far from London. It was in Saudi Arabia. It still went pay-per-view on Sky Sport, and it made some considerable numbers. So if we go deep into analytics, we would probably come to the conclusion that Tyson Fury is the big ticket seller. Probably yes, he is the big ticket seller because selling Wembley with the white, selling Tottenham, yeah, it's substantial. But okay, are you a singer? Are you a pop star? No, you're a fighter. And in boxing business, there are some certain things like pay-per-view is the highest space level for promotion for a fighter to be that significant. Is he that significant? Probably not. Well, he's well known. Of course he is. He is the big star. Yes, he is. He fought in United States. Did he become a massive star there? Not that massive. He was okay. He fought 3 times with Wilder, who is local. So you cannot measure it. It's the same like Usyk with AJ.
Yep.
What did he do before? He fought Otto Wallin, where he almost where he could lose this fight. Was it a spectacular one? Probably yes, because there was so much blood. But boxing-wise, it didn't look impressive. So if we go through the history, we can find out that this is not the case. Tyson is not a big draw. And if he fights, let's see what happens in the future. Who's his next opponent? Derek Chisora, Wilder, Dillian White. Oh, if he wants to fight for the undisputed, maybe Clarissa Shields. Okay, but what's his next step? I mean, what he gonna do?
This
Well,
was questions.
you know, Jimmy, I have a really great option for Tyson to recuperate his reputation. He still owes a fight, a rematch to Vladimir Klitschko. There's no one to be scared of. Vladimir Klitschko is 47. Jump in. Fight the old man. Show us your balls. Not physically, but show how strong you are.
Well, look, I mean, again, breaking all of that down and looking back through history, I do believe there's a hell of a lot to be quite frustrated with from what comes from Tyson. I know a lot of it he seems to think is hot air. One day he says one thing, one day he says the other. He constantly contradicts himself. But you know, he's a good talker and he sells fights with his ways. But back to this fight, I just want to sort of get more of an idea because Alexander's gone and accepted 70-30, which is outrageous by anybody's standards. I don't think there's anybody out there who actually thinks that he should have accepted that, but it shows his willingness to fight. You know, true fighting spirit. That's what he did. You mentioned the rematch. I saw in the IFL TV interview that you mentioned the 70-30 going the other way to the victor. Was that something that was discussed and was that something that was refused?
That was something that went without saying. I mean, if a guy accepts 70-30, not in his favor, it's easy. He would expect the same split on for the rematch.
And that was
Easy.
refused.
Oh, that was not even discussed.
Right.
It's like, oh no, this is impossible. Why? Because he's a massive star. The fight is generating that much money because of Tyson Fury. But okay, if the fight is generating that much money, which is twice as much as his fight with Chisora, where the second part is coming from? It's coming from Usyk. Then it's fair. If Tyson generates, let's say, X number, and double X is generated, so X number with Chisora, and with Usyk it generates double X, then the second X belongs to Usyk. So it's a 50-50 fight. It's fair. It's completely fair.
Would you agree that kind of displays a little lack of confidence on his part? Because I mean, for someone that keeps mentioning how he would beat up the middleweight with ease and all of these different things, to then go and be guaranteed 70-30 in the rematch with a win, would it not make sense for him to accept that? Because then he would get the 70-30 in the rematch because he knows he's going to win. He obviously must, do you think, maybe not be so confident in beating Usyk?
Yeah, he came up with 50-50 in case he loses and 80-20 in case he wins, which is ridiculous.
Was that what they came up with?
Yeah. Wow. 50-50 in case Usyk wins and 80-20. And there was only one argument for that. This is the split that you accepted with Anthony Joshua. Okay. AJ was the champion. Usyk was the mandatory. There was a fair split set up by the organization, so it was 80-20. If we would go for the first bid, it would be 80-20 split. Then we agreed for the rematch, because normally when you are a mandatory, you have no chance. Normally there is no rematch in the mandatory position, but it was AJ's position, so otherwise he would just vacate the belt. So, and Usyk wanted to fight AJ. That's why it was like, okay, if AJ insists on 50-50, let's accept it. It's still a very fair split and pretty fair money, decent money. Why shouldn't we avoid it? No, let's do it. It's a good chance. If I beat him once, I will beat him twice. If I beat him twice, I become more bigger star. Yeah. Why not? So that was the idea. But since that time, a lot of things changed. Now Usyk is the unified champion who's beaten AJ twice. And how can you offer him? It's just disrespectful. I mean, this was something that really broke the deal. The disrespect, the unreasonable approach. Of course, Tyson Fury generates money. Okay, but does he? Well, Tyson Fury probably earns money. But does anyone else earn money with Tyson Fury? If he earns that much, it won't be sufficient because normally the market wouldn't generate that amount of money that he is demanding. Only in the Middle East. Middle East, because it's a different market, and the way the money is generated is structured in a different manner. That's why that kind of money can come from there. But it's an exception. It's not the rule.
What do you make of Tyson's? Because he's mentioned money's nothing, money's not in his interest. He's not about the money and fight for free. And then obviously being someone from the other side of a negotiating table trying to make a fight with him. What would you say to them comments?
He went one time on the Instagram, mentioned that he didn't go to school in one day. Unfortunately, he didn't have a chance to learn that greediness leads to poverty, and it's a matter of fact. If you are greedy at some point, you become you lose your money, you lose your income, then you spend your money, and you're broke. That's because you are greedy, because it's selfishness. I mean, if you are selfish, if you think only of yourself, and your ego is growing each coming day, it leads to some bad things. And in normal life, I mean, it's not just about Tyson. It's about anyone who behaves the way like that. If you're arrogant, you will be punished. Life will punish you 100%. If you lie, you will be exposed. If you do bad things, you will get it back. It's very simple, very simple laws of life. So I think now karma is returning to the big champ, the big Gypsy King.
Big Gypsy King. Well, this is another thing I was going to say. Definitely looking through comment sections now. I think this whole episode with Usyk's definitely not turning people against him, but opening people's eyes a little bit. I think there's a lot of criticism out there for Tyson and the way he's kind of handled this. So that leads me on to my next question, just for our viewers, and for something I'm very interested in myself, actually. We all remember, obviously, Usyk, AJ. Them fights were made very quickly, very efficiently. Two fantastic fights, massive draws, huge purses, the whole 9 yards. Tyson Fury was negotiating with AJ, and that fell apart quite quickly, and a lot of people jumped on to blame AJ. Now, with experience dealing with Tyson, would you have any comment or any sort of understanding of what may have happened there, or a prediction maybe of how that went? Do you think it was Tyson up to his usual antics potentially?
Jamie, first time I met with Eddie Hearn was in Paris in Four Seasons on Georges V Avenue. It took us 5 minutes to make a deal for co-promotional deal, the co-promotional deal for Usyk for 3 fights. 5 minutes on a small sheet of paper. Just as an example, I used to carry it in my wallet just to remind people how easy it can be. This is the small sheet of paper. This is our co-promotional contract with Eddie.
That's the Eddie Hearn and AJ, Eddie Hearn and Usyk.
Eddie Hearn, K2 and Usyk. Means Matchroom, K2 and Usyk, the co-promotional deal. Just 5 minutes. And then we sent everything to our lawyers and they formalized it in the document. We had 3 fights. That was a really pleasant cooperation. We still are friends. We have wonderful relations with Eddie, with Frank Smith, with Mushroom. Everything is very smooth, though we are not working together anymore, but it doesn't mean we won't work in the future. For AJ, it was way more complicated, not because of AJ or Eddie, because they were negotiating the bigger fight.
Mhm.
Usyk kept the position of the mandatory challenger for 2 years. So there was a point when we were very close after AJ's rematch in Saudi when he beaten Junior, Andy Ruiz, Andy Ruiz. Paco was just one step away from announcing the fight between the mandatory and AJ, between Usyk and AJ. But they came up with a bigger fight, with undisputed, between AJ and Fury. So they went through negotiations, and we were like waiting on a side. We were offered the interim fight with Joe Joyce, which I didn't believe would happen, but we had to comply with it, and we had to jump in negotiations with George and Frank regarding that stuff. And then the arbitration took place,
Yeah.
and Fury was exposed again. I mean, he had to take the match, the third with Wilder. So I received a message from Eddie, like, I think we have a fight to make. So we jumped on the phone. We went through the details. We negotiated a bit, like trying to work out some strategies, and we came to the agreement. Then we formalized the agreement, and it worked. So we had the first fight in Tottenham Hotspur, and then we had the rematch, which was already organized in the paperwork. So it didn't take us long. I mean, AJ wanted the rematch immediate, so he mentioned it in the ring. Okay, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Easy, no problem at all. And my anticipation is that if anyone else but Tyson Fury would be holding the WBC belt now,
This fight would be happening.
of course,
Mhm.
earlier this year, I think maybe February or March.
So, I mean, again, it's something so frustrating from a fan's perspective that this stuff goes on. But like I said, Usyk has constantly gone to other people's backyards. He did it constantly in his cruiserweight career, won all the belts out away from home. Came, fought Tony Bellew, obviously Gassiev, Bradis, all of these amazing fighters, beat them all. And he's shown a real willingness to fight. And whether this Fury one happens or not, I do believe Usyk will be undisputed champion, and I can't wait to see that. I want to just ask you a couple more things quickly. What do you think Fury's intention is from here on? Do you believe he's going to fight again? Do you believe it? Do you have any idea of what the guy might be up to? Do you think, like from your side of this, do you think the Usyk is his intention and he's delaying it, or?
I think the biggest problem of Tyson Fury, not in boxing but in life, is that he has no goal in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
He has no objective. I mean, he doesn't have the direction to go. He reached he reached some heights. He gained a lot. He earned some pretty decent money, so he's not poor. He doesn't need to work to get up at 5 o'clock and just go to do his job. But what's next? He's just 34 or 35. What's next for him? It's not even the half of his life. He might experience those troubles because his mindset is not really set. That's why he will just run circles trying to, because the only thing he's when you don't know the direction to go, you're probably gonna choose money, because money is a liquid, kind of liquid happiness for some people who has no goal. Like if you have money, you can probably all your wishes come true, material wishes, but not spiritual, not like that comes from your soul, from your heart. But when you can when you can buy anything, purchase, you get bored of it, and it's not. It doesn't make you feel good anymore, and you have to find something else that gonna bring you happiness, and that's a far more deeper question. That's why if he doesn't change his mindset and his attitude to life, he would experience some big troubles in life, 100%. Of course, I don't wish that to him, but I can anticipate that. It's a psychological collapse. It's a psychological, how you say this word? Okay, let's, wanted to say a very sharp word for this. Labyrinth, psychological
Yeah,
labyrinth. When you can't find the way out.
like a maze.
So you walk around, yeah, but you have no way out. If you ask me my feelings when I hear AJ, Anthony Joshua, I would say love, respect, masculinity, man of his word, brave, like this. So only respect. I have very warm feelings towards Anthony Joshua. If you ask me about Tyson Fury, I would say compassion, pity, like willingness to help him somehow. So it's ridiculous, right? When you have those feelings when you hear the name of such a huge boxing star. But it is what it is, and it's not my attitude to him. It's my impression of his activity, of his attitude towards other people. So he's the author of those feelings, not myself.
That's very interesting that you've turned around and said pity and compassion to him. I mean, I guess our viewers will take from that what they will, but I can see where you're coming from there. Quickly, before we end, now, who is next for Usyk in your mind? Who is like his toughest challenge out there? We know that's what Usyk wants. We know he wants to be undisputed. We know he wants really tough challenges. Who in the heavyweight division at the moment do you see as his toughest challenge out there, and who would you love to see him fight next, if not?
We've got three mandatories. It's Daniel Dubois, number one in a row, WBA. Then IBF, it's Filip Hrgovic from Croatia. He's number two in a row. And the interim WBO champion, Joe Joyce, number three in a row.
Very good fights, I'd say.
Yeah, so I would say that the toughest test for Usyk of those three is Joe Joyce.
I know they had a
100%.
fantastic fight, the two of them, didn't they, in the amateurs, but the amateurs is a different game and the pros is over 12. And I know Joe Joyce has got one hell of an engine, so that would make for a fight and a half.
Yeah, that would be a complicated fight for Usyk, 100%. I think it might be even more complicated fight than with Tyson Fury.
I was going to ask you, my final question, do you believe after all of this, in your heart of hearts, the Fury is actually the toughest chest out there for Usyk, whether this happens or not? No. My personal impression is that Joe Joyce is, if they have a fight together, Joe Joyce would get 80% from me. In terms of winning, you think Joe Joyce would take it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's not as skilled boxing wise skilled, but he has very good conditioning, good stamina. He's big heart, and he knows he takes punches. I mean, some serious punches that he took from Dubois made him some extra respect.
Yeah. Well, listen, Alex, thanks so much for talking to us, mate. And again, I just look forward to seeing what happens next. I hope there's some resolution somewhere down the line. Maybe we see the Fury fight, but whatever happens, I look forward to seeing Usyk hold all 5 of those belts above his head one day. And yeah, thanks for the chat and best of luck with everything, mate.
Thank you, Jen.
Cheers,
It
buddy.
was my pleasure.
Take
Bye.
care.
All the best.
Bye-bye.